Thoughts on. Today, I am very excited to have Beatriz with me. We're going to talk today about breath work. Beatriz, how are you today?
I'm good. I'm super, super happy to be here. I love how your voice just becomes more profound as you start talking.
Well, thank you for that. Let's just say I get good feedback on my voice, so
I love
I'm
it.
happy about that. Yes, thank you. Hey, could you take a couple of minutes and tell the audience a little bit about you? Where did your journey start and how did you end up right here where you are?
Oh, yeah. How much time do we have?
All the time you want.
I love it. So I'm from Brazil, born and raised in Brazil. And I have always been someone very curious since very, very young. I always had so many questions. And my parents were like, Beatriz, just stop asking so many questions. It is because it is. That's it. And I think like part of my life, I start to just stop asking so many questions because it was annoying or because it was this or that or what others would think. But when I started to really start to understand and listen more the voice that I have within me, I noticed that I had so many questions that were not answered. So I start to like just bring it back, that like inner child, that version of me that have so many questions. And this was around, I would say like 2016, which was when I was doing my leadership program in the marketing industry that I was for many, many years. So my background is in marketing. Living in Brazil, I went to college and I was studying advertising and marketing, which was something that I really loved. I always loved theater, I always loved television, I always loved expression, communication. So this path led me to marketing. And in the marketing industry that I worked for almost 10 years, I was having to answer a lot of questions, especially to understand what the customer wants and how do they want and what the agents want and what the company wants, and like reviving all these questions. And I start to also look inside and see that all these questions that I had about myself, about my purpose, about what I really want, about what I envision for my future, all these questions were unanswered. So I in 2016 was the first time I did a coaching program. So the leadership program that I was doing in this company that I was working gave us coaching, and coaching is a lot of questions, right? So I start to see that questions were actually very powerful and very important to find the answers within myself. And something that I'm very passionate about coaching is this, the questions. No one has the answers for you. No one was coming there and giving me like, oh, that's the path that you should follow. So you want to find your purpose, you want to do this, you want to do that, follow this. Coaching actually was asking me, what is that you want? Coaching was asking me the questions that was leading me to the path to find these answers. And a lot of these questions that I was start to ask myself, I was not finding the answer. So I start to get into this quest of finding the answers for all these questions that I have within myself. And this was actually the when we met. So when we met, I was really like diving deep into reading a lot of books, personal development books, coaching books. I find Mindvalley, which is how we met in a Mindvalley conference. And I saw this conference that had a lot of people who were loving and talking about all these things that I was passionate about, which is about your spirit, about your health life, about envision your future, about coaching, about all this stuff. But at this point, I was still in the marketing industry. So I went to this conference and I had this beautiful awakening. I had my first ever transformational breathwork session there at AFAST in Portugal 2019. And I remember the instructor was telling us to bring an intention for the session. And I was like, I don't know if I have an intention, but everybody that I was meeting at that trip, even before the conference, I spent a week by myself. It was the first time that I was traveling internationally by myself. And everybody was like, are you sure? I think it's a little bit dangerous. You don't know anyone. How are you going to find them? And I was like, don't worry, I will figure out. Inside, I was a little bit freaking out, but I was like, I can do this. I know I can do it. And everybody that I was meeting in this trip was giving me like an underlying message of courage. So it was someone that just broke up a many years relationship and decided to go in this quest to find themselves, or someone that had just quit their job and had no idea what they would do. Like everybody that I was meeting there was giving me this underlying message of courage. So with that, I was like, okay, the universe is literally giving me this courage message. This is the word that it's keep coming up. I meet someone and that's what I say, like, oh, you're very courageous, you're very brave, oh my god. And this was like what it was bubbling inside of me. So when I went to the breathwork experience, I was like, I'm gonna bring this as an intention. So I set this intention, like, why is the universe bringing me this message of courage? Why do I need to be courageous? Like, what is this message? What is this that is coming up? And in the breathwork session, I had this vision, this memory popping up. I was 12 years old and I was putting my friends in my room and reading this relaxation sessions that I was creating for them. So it was literally like writing things like, imagine that you were in a waterfall and you're playing with your favorite doll and you have your best friends there with you. And I had this calming music and I had this vivid memory of them leaving my room and feeling so calm and so peaceful. And then I remember taking my little notebook that had a very like colors in my notebook, and each person had a line where I put their name and how much they owe me for the session. And I was like, wait, what? And I was seeing that and I was like, just get out of my mind. I need to understand what is the message of courage. Why I'm keep remembering that? This doesn't make sense. And I was just getting into my own way, trying to figure out why the message was not coming and why I was remembering about that and why this thing was coming up. And I came back from the session end, and a lot of people were crying and sharing this like breakthroughs. And I was like, I didn't have anything. I just had this memory, like, doesn't make sense. And I just remember like looking in the room. We had like a 200 people in the room, and I was looking everybody, and people were having like this massive experience, like this crazy physical experience. And I was like, I guess I was doing it wrong. I'm not sure if it works for me, you know. It was cool, but that's it. I don't think I got my message. So this was the beginning of 2019. I went back to Brazil, went back to my work. I had just a vacation, kept working the company that I was working for. I was working at this point almost 7 years for this company. Went back to Brazil, was kind of like happy. I had a very successful career. I was making a good amount of money. I loved the people that I was working with. So I was like, everything is fine here. But then I start to notice that little things start to bother me, and things that was not bothering me before. So my relationship with my boss was not the best one. I never had a problem with my boss or anyone in my work. And then like these little things kind of like giving me some signs, and I was paying attention in different things. And I was like, you know what? Something doesn't feel right here anymore. Like something's not feeling right. So Mindvalley offered me a position to move to Malaysia and work with them in the marketing team and work to expand Mindvalley in Brazil and Portugal to the Portuguese market. And I was like, you know what? This is a company that really resonates with me. I really love what they are doing. I'm getting to this quest of personal development. I'm learning a lot. I'm doing a lot of the course that they are doing. I'm gonna say yes. And everybody was like, Bia, calm down. Don't do that. You don't know anyone in Malaysia. You're going crazy. What are you doing? I used to work for this company in Brazil. I don't know if you know about, or whoever is listening to us, Natura. And it's a big company in Brazil. Everybody in Brazil wants to work there. I used to receive, I never worked in the HR, but a lot of people would message me and say, "Can you send my curriculum? I saw this." And I was like, "I don't work in the HR, but I will do my best to help you," you know? And it was a company that everybody wanted to work. It's a beautiful mission, and they have so many amazing benefits for employees, but something was not sitting right. So I had to listen to that gut feeling, to that inner voice, even though everybody was saying I was going crazy, I shouldn't do that. What am I doing? I have a great position. Everybody wants to be in my position. What am I doing? So I was like, you know what? I'm going to listen. And if it doesn't work out, I can always go back to Brazil. I can always restart. So there is no reason. I should just go. So I did that. I went to Malaysia and it was the darkest moment of my life. It was very, very challenged. I started to have a crazy skin reaction. I gained a lot of weight. I was, to be honest, hating what I was doing, the operational part of the job there. Um, the culture was very different. Although I love explore different cultures, I was just not feeling good there. But I was like, you know what? I need to try at least. There's something that brought me here. I need to just keep going. So I kept going. I did 6 months there. And until the moment that I was like, I learned my lesson. I got what I need to get here. This was the bridge that I need to really like empower myself to learn what I need to learn and really connect to my intuition and my purpose. So in this process, I always become a certified coach, not because I wanted to become a coach, just because I wanted to help myself. Coaching was something that really helped me. So I wanted to really dig deeper. I also did other certifications in this process, which was theta healing, breath work, many different courses in hypnosis and coaching, and you name it. I did many different things. And all because I'm curious and I wanted to learn a little bit deeper. And in this process, I decided to quit everything and not go to the next job, but start to do what it was helping me start doing this for others. So at this point, I was my now husband. We were dating at that time, and he challenged me. He said, "Why don't you just find your first customer and find someone who want to work with you?" And I was like, "I don't even know what I'm gonna offer. I don't even know what to do. I don't even know anything. Like how I'm gonna do that." And he's like, "I don't care. Just this is your challenge. Go do it." And I was like, "Okay, I have to figure out." He gave me a challenge. I moved by challenge, so I'm gonna do it. So 2 weeks later, I had my first um, customer, and I was just offering them to guide them through the journey that I was just went through. And I start to help people, and I start to have this customer, and the next one, and the next one, and I was so light up. I was so happy, and they were having this massive breakthroughs and going through the same journey. And I was watching them. And I was like, I feel you. Like I know what you're going through because I just went through that. And this was so fulfilled for me and in my heart. And I was literally feeling that feeling of I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. I'm leaving my mission and I want to help more and more people. So I also being very, very passionate. At the same time that I was doing the relaxation sessions in my 12 years old, I was also reading The Secret because my mom had The Secret, the book, in the bathroom. And I remember just sitting there sometimes and looking at the book. And I have been someone that didn't read the books that I need to read at school. I was not good with attention. I really believe I have ADD, but have never been diagnosed. But I am someone that I can't pay attention to the same thing for a long time. So I was like, okay, this book is calling my attention. I start to read some pages and loving and reading and reading and reading. And when I start this journey, a lot of my passion is manifestation and really understand manifestation, not only law of attraction, but understand manifestation as a holistic thing. Because a lot of people they talk about manifestation, but they talk about oh, you set your intention and then you visualize and then you see that thing. And manifestation is not that. It's not only the visualization. It's not only setting the intention. Manifestation is started with shadow work, really learning about yourself, really digging into the things that you don't want to dig, really finding the shadow, understanding the parts of you, and understand frequency and understand energy, management of energy, and all of that. So I start to also help people in through their own manifestation and understanding and learning about manifestation. And then I find a breathwork certification that called my attention. And I did the certification. And when I started doing the certification, I had this download in one of the sessions that was saying Theta Breath. And I was like, oh, that's a cool word. Like, what does that mean? And initially, I thought it would be like this university that I would bring all this healing techniques, all these coaches and speakers and authors that were so impactful for me and create kind of a university. But then as I start to play with the idea of what could be, and start to create my own way of coaching, my own way of creating a breathwork experience, a meditation experience for others, that's how Theta Breathwork was born. And as I start putting people into the process of Theta Breathwork, people start to have like this massive release and massive breakthroughs and manifestations, and things start to really move very fast. And I was like, oh, that's what Theta Breathwork really is. And that's a lot of my journey. And I have much more, like many other stories, but that's a little bit of how I transition out of like the corporate marketing world and found my own way and create my own way of coaching, breath work, meditation, hypnosis, and bringing all of this together and give birth to. I don't like to say that I gave birth to Theta Breathwork, because it's an ancient practice, and we are just here like continuing a work that existed before us. And I really believe that I receive a download as a way for me to keep continues this work. So
Oh, it's a wonderful story. Thank you for sharing. I've been taking notes the entire time, as you can see. So I have a number of things. Excuse me. I have a number of things that I want to touch on. Um, Back to, but all around the breathwork part, because I was at that session with Lisa de Narvaez
yes,
in Mindvalley in Portugal, and I remember vividly that experience. It was a very excuse me, it was a very transformative experience for me,
yeah,
but a transformative in the sense that it put me in touch with an enormous amount of pain that I guess I had that I was not aware of.
mm-hmm,
And so I was one of those people who was crying, and having this release, if you will.
yeah,
And hearing you say that you went through an entirely different experience is very interesting, because we were all there. We were all on the
mm-hmm,
floor. There was the music. She was doing her thing, and different people. Okay, different people were experiencing different things, and I am well, like now that you've gone through your journey and you help people with their breathing process and how
yes,
to use that in order uh, to get to wherever it is that they're trying to get, or to find out whatever it is that they're trying to find out. How is it that the same process leads different people into a different state or a different
mm-hmm,
experience? Or in your case, you felt like, I don't know if I even did this right. Like, what was that
yeah.
all about? Like, can you share a little bit about that?
Absolutely. Yeah, and I always say that into our sessions. We have what I call Theta Thursday. Every week we do this Theta Breathwork session open to the community, and I always lead with that because I think this is a very important concept. And people come and they say like, someone told me about this experience, and they have these massive breakthroughs, and they have this massive release, and like they come looking for something that someone experienced. And this experience, and I'm speaking specifically about Theta Breathwork because it's what I practice. There are many different type of breathworks out there, and Lisa Navarez and the experience that we had, it's very similar type of breathing that I practice. But there are many other types that can trigger different sensations and different reactions and different experience in the body. But one of the most important things for people to understand is that you are a unique individual. There is no one on this earth that have had the same experience that you had. There is no one that had your journey the way that you did. So you can't expect that you're going to have the same reaction and the same experience that others. So that's the first thing. The second thing is the body keeps the score, right? So we somatize a lot of this experience that we went through years and years and years in our life. And this is the body has a memory and remembers all of that. So, in the moment that you start to put yourself and you shift your state from a sympathetic, which is the fight or flight that we most of us live on, and shift into a parasympathetic, and we relax the body starts to show the things that it's there that we are not really paying attention. And you suddenly start to feel safe to feel that things. So, you, for example, you had an experience where you're like, I felt a lot of pain. I felt a lot of things that I didn't even know that it was there because you were hiding. Your body learned how to hide that thing so you don't experience the pain, you don't experience that sensation, you don't experience that emotion that you don't want to experience. But then you are in that state when you allow yourself to process the things that need to be processed, and then they come, right? For me, in my case, what my intention was also very related. I didn't understand at that point, but my intention was to understand what is the message of courage. And I believe in God, but whoever is listening, you can say universe or creator or Jesus is the, it doesn't really matter what is your belief. But I do believe that there is this higher power, this source that it's guiding me. And this force guided me through this journey that gave me the sign right there and showed me something in a memory that it was very important for me to remember why the courage was something that it was important and a message that it was coming up for me. So for another person that is having an experience, they can remember maybe a traumatic experience, and they can change the association that they have around that traumatic experience, and they have the release in the body, and they start to change the way that they perceive, and they might shift from a victim mentality, which is not, you can be a victim of a situation and have a victim mentality. These are two different things. I do know that a lot of people are victims of situations, and but I also know that they don't need to live in a victim mentality. So an experience like that can shift you and shift you out of a victim mentality and change the way that you're perceiving the memories that you have so you can start to live a more empowered life. So there is no way that you're gonna come to a Theta Breathwork specifically experience that you're gonna have the same experience that you had before, or that it's gonna be the same experience that someone else have, because no one is like you. No one had the experience that you had. No one saw life the way that you see. No one experienced and had the same parents and went through the same school system and went through the same culture and have the thoughts and the process that you had.